Now we'll finish up with some of your questions in a moment, but let's get through this next bit very quickly, especially if it goes the same way it did last week. It's Premier League picks time. Burton, you've took the lead in the battle of the co-hosts. A very good week for yourself last week, but let's see if I can do a bit better this week. It's night 5, the night before the UK Open. The Premier League continues at the West Point Arena in Exeter. First game of the night, it's Rob Cross against Daryl Gurney. How do you see this game going?
Well, big week last week for neither of these players, as both of them had opportunities and let it get away. It looked like Gurney might have been on his way to his first win. Then Michael Smith came back and beat him. Rob Cross as well ended up losing a last leg decider to Gary Anderson. And that makes this a huge week for both of them. Rob Cross is just 2 points off the bottom. If he loses this match, if he loses it by enough legs, he could be bottom at the end of the day. But Daryl Gurney, of course, is that man who is 2 points adrift. And both of these players now are starting to see a gap separate between them and the playoff spots. For Gurney, it's 4 points. For Cross, it's just the 2. And okay, you expect some of those other players to get a result this week, so you wouldn't expect him to be back in the top 4 after this. But it's getting close to must win. You don't want to find yourself 4 points adrift even this far or this early in the season. But I just think Cross is playing that little bit better right now. Both of them need to up their games if they're going to stay in it. And I did say earlier in the show that Dirk van Dijvenbode is behind 7 of the 9 Premier League players in averages in Players' Championship events this year. These are the 2 he's not. These are the 2 that so far have been playing worse than him. But Rob Cross is playing better than Gurney, and that'll be enough. 7-3 to the former world champion.
Well, we're already disagreeing on the picks again this week. I'm going the other way. I'm going with the handicapper's nightmare. It's, we spoke at the top of last week's show about could this be the closest Premier League ever? There was 2 points separating the top 8. Okay, last week the gaps opened up a little bit for a few of those players. Rob Cross, Peter Wright, they're a couple of points behind. Daryl still on the 1 point, and he lost last week to Michael Smith who hit that 9 data, but just losing out 7-5 in the end. Both these players, both in need of the points. I'm just going to go with Daryl Gurney on this one. I think he needs a win. He's still only on that 1 point, and this could be the game to do it. Get up there, first game of the night. You haven't got to worry about what anyone else does. You can get there, get the 2 points, get out, and know that you're at least level on one of those 2 players that are on 3 points, and gives you a bit of belief going into the next few weeks. So for me, for no real reason really, I'm going to go with the handicapper's nightmare. So I'm going 7-4 to Daryl Gurney.
Now, second match of the night, and we see Gerwyn Price, who's the only man who's still unbeaten in the Premier League, up to 3rd, going against Glen Durrant off of his first ever Premier League defeat, down in 4th. How do you see this one?
I've got it going with the man in form. I've got it going with Gerwyn Price. I'm going to play my joker for this game as well. These two always serve up some great games. I know particularly last year there was some really good games these two had on the on the European tour, and I think this will be another good game. I think it's going to go close, but I'm just going to give the edge to the man in form, the man that seems to be picking up these titles, and now he's got that first win under his belt in the Premier League last week. I think he's going to double his win tally, and unfortunately for Glen, it's going to be back-to-back defeats for him, but I think he's looking pretty safe for the second stage of the season at the moment. So I'm going 7-4 to Gerwyn Price.
Yeah, hard to disagree with that. And Glen has beaten Gerwen 3 times, but 2 of those were in Players' Championship events. In 6 meetings on stage, Gezi has gotten the better of him 5 of those times, most notably and most recently at the World Championship in the quarterfinals, where Price just never really led Duzza into that match and ran away with it 5-1. I think this one will be a little bit closer than that, but Gerwen is just playing too well right now, and Duzza has shown some vulnerability, especially on the doubles. That's what got him last week. It's what got him against Fallon Sherrick. It's done him in a few times so far in Players' Championship events. I don't know if it'll do him in because that would require Gerwyn Price to give him opportunities, and Price doesn't like to give anyone opportunities. But yeah, I don't know what's going to be the reason, but Gerwyn Price is going to just be the better player on this. So I'm going to go, you said 7-4, I'll go 7-3 to Gezi.
Third game of the night then, and it is Nathan Aspinall against the world champion Peter Wright. How do you see the third game going?
This is a really tough one to call. Aspinall's been a little inconsistent so far, but has been able to get it done. Peter Wright, well, we can write some excuses for his draw against Gary Anderson, but hasn't been at his best in the Premier League. He's been pretty darn good everywhere else, but hasn't yet been at his best in the Premier League. And that's why he sits second from bottom and already 3 points behind the UK Open champion. But that gap will be down to 1 point by the end of the night because I'm going Peter Wright to win it. I think he's going to come up with his best performance so far in this year's Premier League. And I think it's going to be too much for Nathan Aspinall, who might already be thinking ahead to the title defense that'll start the following day. I think the world champion is going to blitz him. I'm going to go 7-2 to Peter Wright. I'm going to go 7-2. I just think this is the night that Peter Wright finally gets it right.
Well, it is a hard one to call. This is probably the one I spent more than 5 seconds making a prediction on what I was going to go with. Peter Wright's been a little bit up and down the last week or so. We done our picks last week, and we thought that the game against Gerwyn Price would be an absolute thriller from what we saw at the weekend, but Peter just didn't turn up at all, did he? I think it was a 83.5 average he had in the end was really out of sorts, and done well to get a leg in the end. It could have been 7-0. But like you, I think this is going to go Peter Wright's way. I think it's going to go 12 legs. I think it's going to go a little bit closer. Nathan obviously he's having a good time of it in the Premier League at the moment, joint top with Michael van Gerwen, only separated on goal difference. But both players had a good weekend on the Euro Tour. Peter getting to a semi-final. I think Nathan got to the quarterfinals before going out to Dirk van Duijvenbode. But yeah, I think it's going to go all the way. I think it's going to go to 12 legs. I wouldn't be surprised to see it go to a draw, but I'm going to give the edge, like yourself, to Peter on this one. I've got it going 7-5 to the world champion.
Fourth match of the night, and it sees Gary Anderson, the two-time former world champion, currently 6th in the table, outside the top 4 on goal difference, going against the 5th of the 9 challengers, the reigning world youth champion, Luke Humphreys. How do you see this one?
Again, I think it's going to be a close game. I do think it's going to be another week where we don't see the contenders, the challengers, get that win. I thought Willie O'Connor had a good go against Michael van Gerwen last week, the 7-4 in the end, especially after being 3-0 down. I thought he made a good of account of himself, and I'm going with the exact same score from last week from that game. I'm going to go 7-4 to Gary Anderson. I think Luke Humphreys is going to give him a game. He's 7th on the Players' Championship averages at the moment. Maybe he hasn't had his rewards for how well he's played, but he's a player, and he said it himself. He loves playing on the big stage, and he gave Gerwyn Price a really good game in the Premier League last year. He's done very well at Ali Pali the last couple of years, and I just don't think he's going to get over the line in this one, but I do think it's going to go close, so I'm going to go 7-4 to Gary.
Well, I'm going to disagree with you. You are right that the World Youth Champion hasn't gotten the rewards for the performances he's put in the Players' Championship events, but I don't think that's going to faze him. He's a player that every time we see him on the big stage looks a little bit better than the last time we saw him. Gary Anderson? Well, Gary Anderson seems to be back to full health and has played the best he's played in a year and a half. But I think there's a lot more for Luke Humphreys to prove, and Luke Humphreys is going to come in that little bit hungrier, that little bit more desire than Gary Anderson. I think that's going to be enough, not just to snatch a point, but to become the first challenger/contender to win a match in the Premier League. So I'm going for Luke Humphreys to finally give the challengers a win at the 14th ask. I'm going 7-5 to Luke Humphreys. I think he's going to win it in a last leg decider. I think he's going to reel off the last 3 or 4 legs in a row to get it done. And I think it'll be a huge breakthrough for him. Breakthrough, obviously, for the challengers. So I'm going 7-5. I'm going for the upset, Luke Humphreys, to win it.
Well then, final game of the night, and it's 9-dart himself, Michael Smith, going up against the leader of the Premier League, Michael van Gerwen. How do you see the final game going?
Well, if you had asked me this a few days ago, it would have been much easier to say Van Gerwen, because Michael Smith hadn't been able to beat Van Gerwen in a ranking match in over a year, but he finally got that done, despite doing his best to, well, at least seeming like he was doing his best to blow it. 5-2 up, and all of a sudden became 5-all. But what a leg he threw in, and then to nail what's not necessarily his favorite double, to wrap it up, double 16. That was a really gutsy last leg from Michael Smith, and one that will give him confidence heading into the Premier League, but I don't think it'll be enough. Michael van Gerwen, he's not yet back to his best, but he's playing much more consistently than Michael Smith. We see a great performance from Smith this past weekend to make the finals, but he hasn't been able to back it up in over a year, really. He'll have great tournaments, and he follows it up with nothing. I don't think he'll regress that much, but even a slight regression will make Michael Van Gerwen the heavy favorite, and I think that's what we'll have here. So I'm going 7-4 to the world number one. I haven't used my joker yet, so I'll use it on this one. I think Smith will be competitive, but he's not going to play as well as he did this past weekend. Van Gerwen will play that little bit better, and that'll be enough for the world number one to get the 2 points.
I was starting to think that you had forgotten about your joker and you were going to give me a little bit of a chance this week, but I've got this one going with Michael Van Gerwen as well. Great to see Michael Smith get the 9-darter last week. I think aside from Michael Van Gerwen, I don't think there's been too many players that have missed or got very close to getting that 9-darter on TV without getting one. I think Michael Smith was definitely up there, and great to see him get over the line and get the 9-darter. First one we've seen Premier League for a few years as well. And followed it up at the weekend. Okay, got the win. All the legs weren't as good as that one in the win against Daryl Gurney, but got the 2 points. And it's the first time that he's won back-to-back games in the Premier League since towards the end of the 2018 season when he got to the final. So he's starting to find a little bit of form. Got to the final in Belgium at the weekend. Beat Michael Van Gerwen, as you say, on the way, which is only going to help him confidence-wise going into this. But we all know that when Michael Van Gerwen loses a game, he wants to get revenge as soon as possible, and he's got the opportunity this weekend. He gets to play him final game of the night in Exeter, and like you, I've got it going to Van Gerwen. I'll go a little bit closer. I'm going to go 7-5 to the world number one.